Hello there, my sleepy nights. Tonight, let your mind drift into the emerald heart of ancient Ireland, a land where silver mist curls over quiet hills, and old myths breathe softly beneath the moss and moonlight. Here, in the twilight forests, legends of mythical races, shimmering curses, and rivalries among forgotten gods weave themselves into the wind. If you'd like to listen to these journeys with your eyes closed, audio-only versions are now available for download. But for now, let's settle in. Pull your blanket close, imagine the warm glow of a crackling fire, and allow the timeless tales of Ireland's soul to rise once more, gentle as a lullaby carried on the night air. In the verdant, mist-woven valleys of ancient Ireland, where soft green hills cradle the last traces of twilight, the land itself seems to breathe. Here, the haunting melodies of forgotten airs drift through the rising fog, mingling with the whispers held in the moss and stone. The earth remembers everything, older than the peat bogs, older than the oaks, older even than the first stories ever told. In the quietest glades, where the hawthorn stands as a pale and patient sentinel, embers of long-extinguished fires still hum faintly with the warmth of old lore. Beneath the watchful gaze of the silver moon, the veil between worlds thins like a dream breaking open, inviting the curious, the gentle, and the brave to listen closely. And as dusk deepens into night, wrapping the emerald hills in a soft, smoky cloak, the realm of the mystical stirs awake. Elusive beings, bright as fireflies, light as breath, flit through the undergrowth, their laughter chiming like silver bells lost among the rustling leaves. Ancient gods murmur from the shadows, their voices delicate as the wind weaving through the branches. In this twilight world, where reality brushes tenderly against legend, the stories of Ireland's soul rise again, reborn through the voices of bards, and carried in the hearts of those who still wander the paths of their ancestors. These tales, spun from the very soil, serve many purposes. Some reveal the mysteries of the natural world, others whisper lessons older than memory, and the most ancient speak of heroes, giants, banshees, and the origins of traditions shaped by time. Together, they form a tapestry of myth and truth intertwined, a gentle reminder of the wonders that once walked the land. Before the first songbird ever greeted the morning, when the world lay wrapped in the stillness of untouched dawn, Ireland's story began. Across the restless sea came the Partalon people, carrying with them the first stirrings of life, the rustle of new leaves, the flutter of wings, the earliest heartbeat of the island. Yet their chapter was brief, a single sigh on the wind. Tragedy swept them away, leaving Ireland empty again, like a stage awaiting new players. Next came the Nemedians, bold and unyielding, carving their sagas into the bones of the land. Their legacy too was destined to sink into silence, leaving only faint echoes of courage drifting through time. But the most wondrous chapter was still to unfold. From the northern mists, in ships that glimmered like drifting clouds, arrived the Tuatha De Danann, the divine people of the goddess Danu. Cloaked in enchantment, they belonged as much to the spirit realm as to the earthly one. Masters of craft, magic, and mystery, they brought treasures of unimaginable power. The sword of light, the spear of Lu that never missed its mark, the cauldron of the Dagda that left no one unfed, and the stone of fall, which roared beneath the feet of the rightful king. Under their touch, Ireland bloomed. Rivers glimmered with hidden magic, hills swelled with life, and valleys thrummed like a harp tuned by the gods themselves. Yet even their reign was challenged. The Fir Bolg, proud and steadfast, rose to contest their claim. A mighty battle followed, one the bards would sing for centuries. The Tuatha De Danann, armed with sorcery and unparalleled skill, emerged victorious. They ruled not with cruelty, but with wisdom, offering unity to those they had overcome. In those enchanted days, the boundary between worlds was thin as gossamer. Gods walked among mortals. Heroes towered like mountains, and the Tuatha De Danann, radiant and otherworldly, guided Ireland with the deep strength of the sea, the bright fire of the sun, and the soft green breath of the forest. But time is ever turning. From across the sea came the Milesians, ambitious, fearless, human, challenging the celestial rule of the Tuatha. The battle that followed was fierce and sorrowful, a storm that reshaped the destiny of the island. Though defeated, the Tuatha De Danann did not vanish. Proud and immortal, they withdrew into the secret hollows of the earth. There, beneath the hills in a shimmering realm called the Otherworld, they built a kingdom untouched by sorrow, where time drifted like a gentle stream and beauty never faded. In that hidden sanctuary, they became the Cedar, the people of the mounds, unseen guardians of Ireland, silent watchers in the night. And it is with these luminous beings that our first tale begins. Nuada of the Silver Hand, noble and steadfast, rose as king of the Tuatha De Danann during the darkest days of the early invasions. The Fomorians, fearsome sea raiders, swept through Ireland with ruthless force, destroying cattle, burning homes, and demanding tribute from every soul they conquered. Each man, rich or poor, was required to pay a single ounce of gold. Those who failed to do so at the yearly gathering on the hill of Uisneach met a fate too grim to speak. Their leader was Balor of the Evil Eye, a terror whispered in every cottage and fortress. For when he opened that single, monstrous eye upon his enemies, they fell as though struck by lightning, lifeless before they touched the ground. No weapon had ever harmed him. No earthen force could withstand him. All lived in dread of the pirate king, whose gaze carried death itself. And so, in the heart of myth and moonlit legend, the story of Nuada and the fate of a magical Ireland quietly unfolds. Times were bleak for the Tuatha De Danann, and each passing season seemed to dim what little hope remained in their hearts. Their faith in King Nuada had withered, for he appeared powerless to resist Balor's cruelty, powerless to shield his people from the long shadow of oppression stretching across their lands. Day after day, the folk of Dana lifted their eyes to the hills, silently longing for a leader of courage, someone who might break the chains of their wretched servitude. Their misery spread far beyond their own borders, whispered by wandering traders and carried by wind and sea. In time, these sorrowful tidings reached the ears of Lugh of the Long Arm, a young warrior of fairy mound lineage, whose father was Cian, son of Cancha. Lugh had barely emerged into manhood when his bravery became the talk of fairyland. The elders revered him so deeply that they entrusted him with the treasured gifts of Manannan, the sea god, sacred relics that had protected their people for countless generations. Lugh rode upon Manannan's white steed, a dazzling creature swift as winter's screaming winds, a horse whose very magic ensured that no rider seated upon her back could ever be harmed. He carried the oar of Manannan, which could sense a man's thoughts and obey the will of its keeper without hesitation. Across his chest gleamed Manannan's enchanted breastplate and armor, which no earthly weapon could pierce. And at his side hung his mighty sword, the Retaliator, a blade known in every corner of the land for slicing through the strongest shields as though they were reeds. As the time approached for the people of Dana to pay their yearly tribute to the Fomorians, they gathered once more upon the hill of Uisneach. The morning air was sharp, and the dread of the coming moment weighed heavily on them. Yet as they stood trembling, a strange and splendid sight appeared on the eastern horizon, a troop of riders advancing across the plain. At their head sat Lugh of the Long Arm, proud and radiant, his noble face catching the first golden light of dawn until he seemed almost to shine. King Nuada himself was called forth to greet this unexpected company. He approached Lugh with respect, but before they could exchange more than a few words, a grim band of riders appeared, Fomorian tax collectors, instantly recognized by their harsh countenances. Nuada bowed low and commanded his weary people to deliver their tribute without hesitation. This sight, the humiliation of a king and the terror of his subjects, set Lugh's heart aflame. He pulled Nuada aside, reproaching him in a low, fierce whisper. "Why do you bow before these evil-eyed wretches?" he demanded. "They show you no honor in return." "We must," Nuada replied sorrowfully. "To refuse means instant death, and our land has seen more blood than it can bear." Before Nuada could say another word, Lugh strode forward with blazing eyes and, single-handedly, struck down Baelor's men until only one remained alive, cowering at his feet. Dragging the trembling creature before him, Lugh commanded him to carry a message. "Return to Baelor," he thundered, "and tell him his power over the people of Dana is broken. Lugh of the Long Arm stands ready to meet him in battle. If Baelor has courage left, let him prove it." Baelor, upon hearing these words, flew into a rage. But Lugh wasted no time. With Nuada's aid, he summoned the strongest warriors from every corner of the kingdom. Gleaming new weapons were forged, and 3,000 white horses, swift as rolling foam on storm waves, were readied for battle. In the harbors, a fleet of stout ships waited in silence, prepared to confront whatever venomous storm the Fomorians might bring. The moment finally arrived when word spread that Baelor's army had landed on the northwest coast of Connaught. Within mere hours, the Fomorians swept through the region, plundering noble homes and laying waste to all they passed. Lugh, learning of this destruction, grew even more determined to defend his people. He rode across the wide plains of Ireland to seek the aid of his father, Cian, who commanded the armies of the Fairy Mounds. Cian's brothers, Cu and Caithan, pledged their support as well, and the three set out separately to gather every able warrior they could find. Cian rode northward until he reached the fields near Dundalk. As he approached, he saw 3 armed riders coming toward him. At first he did not know them, but as they drew closer, their identities became dreadfully clear. The sons of Tuiren, Brian, Uchar, and Ucharba, with whom Cian's family had long held a bitter feud. The hatred between them was deep enough to turn even a chance encounter into a deadly contest. Wishing to avoid an uneven and unnecessary battle, Cian scanned the landscape desperately. Nearby grazed a large herd of pigs. With quick resolve, he struck himself with a druidic wand and transformed into one of them, trotting into the herd and rooting at the earth as though he had always belonged there. The sons of Tuiren halted in confusion. The warrior who had been approaching them had vanished into thin air. For a moment they sat silently, but soon Brian turned to his brothers with a knowing smirk. "Surely you saw him," he said, "a warrior on horseback, and now he is gone. Have you no idea what became of him?" "We do not," they admitted. "Shameful," Brian chided. "If he is transformed into one of these swine, and you cannot tell an enchanted beast from a natural one, then all the lessons you learned in the City of Learning were wasted upon you." And as he spoke those fateful words, he lifted his druidic wand, an ancient branch etched with secret runes, and with a soft whisper of power, he touched Yukavar and Yucca upon their brows. In an instant, their bodies shimmered and folded into new shapes, becoming sprightly hounds whose ears quivered and whose paws danced restlessly upon the earth. They yelped and bayed with a wild impatience, eager to take up the trail of the enchanted pig that fled through the forest shadows. Before long, the hunt drew to its grim conclusion. The enchanted pig was cornered, driven into a quiet little copse where breeze and birdsong had once lived in peace. There, Brian cast his spear with deadly precision, and the weapon flew straight through the creature's chest. The pig shrieked, a terrible, thin sound. Then, to the astonishment of all present, it began to speak in the voice of a man. "Show mercy," it pleaded. "Grant me a death of dignity. I am no true beast. I was born a human. Let me take my own shape once more before life slips away." "I allow it," Brian answered coolly, "for I am far more willing to kill a man than a pig." With that, the wounded creature shifted and stretched, and from the crumpled form of the boar rose Cian, son of Cancha, blood flowing down his cloak from the dreadful wound at his breast. "I have outwitted you," he gasped. "Had you slain me as a pig, you would bear only the guilt of killing an animal. But now you must kill me as I truly am, and know this, my death will cry out. My weapons will howl the tale of your treachery to my son, Lugh of the Long Arm." Brienne's face hardened. "Then we shall use no weapon," he declared. "We will strike you with what the earth freely gives." And so the three brothers bent to the ground, seizing jagged stones. They hurled them relentlessly until Cian's body was torn and battered, until breath left him, and he lay lifeless upon the forest floor. They buried him where he fell, an unmarked grave beneath the whispering trees, then turned their backs on the deed and hurried away to join the war against the Fomorians. In the battles that followed, Lugh of the Long Arm shone brighter than any star. With the noble hosts of Fairyland and the valiant riders of King Nuada at his side, he led his people to victory after victory. Spears whistled through the air, shields rang. The earth trembled beneath the fury of combat. At last the Fomorians broke, fleeing in terror to the sea and vanishing into the cold northern mists. Lugh was hailed as a hero. The Tuatha De Danann showered him with honor, offering him treasures beyond imagining. Among them, a golden war chariot studded with jewels, drawn by 4 magnificent milk-white steeds. When the celebrations dimmed and life began to settle again, uneasy thoughts stirred in Lugh's mind. No word had come of his father. He questioned his companions, but none had heard of Cian since the morning he marched north to gather the fairy armies. "My heart knows he is gone," Lugh murmured, his voice strained. "And I vow that neither rest nor food nor drink shall pass my lips until I learn the truth of his fate." So Lugh and a circle of kinsmen returned to the place where father and son had last parted. The horse of Manannan guided them deeper into the shaded wood, into the quiet, sorrowful heart of the forest. And there, the stones themselves began to cry out. Their voices were thin and mournful, telling Lugh of the sons of Turen, of treachery and blood, of how his father had been slain and buried beneath their feet. Stricken with grief, Lugh commanded his companions to unearth the grave. They lifted Cian's broken body from the earth, and Lugh fell to his knees at the sight of the many wounds. "This sorrow is more than I can bear," he whispered. "My ears do not hear, my eyes do not see, my heart beats no more for grief of my father. Those who did this shall suffer long before justice is done." He laid his father gently back into the ground, carved a headstone with his own hands, and stood in long, grieving silence. Then he mounted his horse and rode toward Tara, where the final victory feast was underway. Inside the great hall, Lugh sat beside the king. His gaze swept the room until it came to rest on the three sons of Tuiren. Rising to his feet, he called for the golden chain of the hall to be shaken, a signal for absolute silence. "I ask you all a question," Lugh said, his voice calm but edged with iron. "What punishment would you deliver to the man who murdered your own father?" A hush fell. At last, the king asked whether it was Lugh's father who had been slain. "It is," Lugh replied, "and the killers sit among us even now." Murmurs rippled around the hall. The king, his face grim, declared that such a crime deserved a slow and lingering death. Many warriors agreed. Even the sons of Tuiren nodded. But Lugh shook his head gently. "I will not slay the children of the Tuatha De Danann, for they are my own people. Instead, they shall pay a fine, a heavy one." He listed his demands: 3 golden apples, the skin of a magical pig, a sharp spear, 2 steeds and a chariot, 7 pigs, a whelping dog, a cooking spit, and 3 mighty shouts from a distant hill. The sons of Tuiren bowed and accepted their sentence, for shame left them no words to deny it. Then Lugh described the trials before them: the apples from the garden of the Hesperides, bright as burnished gold, able to heal any wound; the sacred pigskin of the king of Greece; the deadly poisoned spear of Pizar, king of Persia, so fierce it could only be tamed by resting its blade in freezing water. And with that, their long and perilous quest began. Beneath the quiet glow of dawn, Lugh spoke with a voice that seemed to stir the very air around them. "Guard well the burning heat of the city you have kept from harm. And tell me, do you know who waits to receive from you the chariot and its 2 tireless steeds?" The sons of Tuiren exchanged uneasy glances. "We do not," they admitted. "They belong to Dobar, the king of Sicily," Lugh continued gently, though his words carried the weight of thunder. "These horses possess a rare gift. They cross sea and land with equal ease, and the chariot they draw has no rival in beauty or strength." His eyes glimmered as he spoke of the next marvel. "And the 7 pigs you must gather. They are the treasured animals of Assel, king of the golden pillars. Each night they are slain, each morning they rise again unharmed. Any soul who tastes their meat is safe from sickness for life." Lugh paused only long enough for the brothers' hearts to sink, before adding, almost like the turning of another page in a long, unending tale, "There are still 3 more things I require. First, the whelping hound who guards the palace of the king of Iruad. Her name is Valenish, and all the wild creatures of the world tremble before her, for she is stronger and more radiant than any beast ever known. Next, a cooking spit kept by the fairy women of Einishfinjuri, an island ringed by perilous waters, where no fisherman has ever reached the shore and lived. And finally, the 3 shouts I demanded of you on the hill of Midcain, a place forbidden to all but the sons of Midgard." His voice softened, yet the sorrow in it was unmistakable. "My father trained as a warrior on that hill. It is there his death was made bitter and cruel. Even if I were to forgive you for his slaying, the sons of Midgard never will." When Lugh finished, the sons of Tuiren fell silent, struck by the dreadful weight of what lay before them. Without delay, they sought out their father and told him of the fearful sentence pronounced upon them. "It is a harsh price," Tuiren said at last, his voice trembling like an old branch in winter winds. "But if you are guilty, it must be paid, though I fear your path may end in sorrow for all 3 of you." He urged them to return to Lugh and beg for the loan of Manannan's enchanted boat, swift as a thought, gentle as moonlight on the sea. Lugh granted the request kindly, and father and sons walked together to the harbor. their footsteps heavy with dread. After a sad and lingering farewell, the brothers boarded the boat and set forth upon the first of their many wearying quests. "We shall seek the golden apples first," said Brian. At once, Manannan's boat responded, gliding toward the bright eastern world without pause until it slipped into a quiet harbor in the land of the Hesperides. There, the brothers debated how to steal the guarded fruit. At last, they chose the shape of 3 screeching hawks. "The guardians are vigilant," Brian whispered, "but we will circle the tree, dodging every arrow until none remain. Then we swoop, seize the apples in our beaks, and be gone." So they did, swift, sharp, untouched by harm. But word of the theft spread quickly. The king's 3 daughters took the form of fierce ospreys and pursued them across the sea. Lightning cracked the sky, scorching the hawks' wings and driving them toward the waves. With a desperate flick of his druidic wand, Brian transformed himself and his brothers into sleek white swans. They vanished beneath the water's surface until the ospreys turned back in frustration, and at last, the brothers returned safely to the boat. After a night of quiet rest beneath the drifting stars, they set sail again, this time toward Greece to seek the skin of the wondrous pig. "We shall appear as 3 birds of Ireland," Brian suggested, for the Greeks honor such creatures, believing them messengers of wit and wisdom. Thus disguised, they crossed the sea, crafting flattering verses for King Tuis as they traveled. When they arrived, their song and charm won them great welcome. The king's poets recited their works, the musicians played joyful melodies, and wine flowed freely through the hall. At last, Brian rose and recited his poem, praising King Tuis as the oak among kings. The king beamed with pleasure and urged him to name his reward. "We ask only for the pig skin you possess," Brian said softly, "for we have heard that it can heal any wound." The king frowned and shook his head. "Not even the greatest poet alive would earn such a treasure from me. But I shall fill the skin 3 times over with red gold. 1 share for each of you." The brothers agreed, and servants led them to the treasure house to measure out the gold. But just as the final share was about to be weighed, Brian seized the precious pigskin, sprinted through the guards, and burst into the outer court. There stood King Tuis, sword drawn, ready to reclaim the treasure he valued above all others. Many bitter blows were traded in that dim and haunted field, the kind of battle whose echoes linger long after the last sword falls silent. Steel met flesh, and each man carved deep wounds into the other, until at last, Breen delivered a final, fatal stroke. The king collapsed to the earth, his crown rolling away into the dust, never to rise again, carrying with them the pigskin that could draw poison from any wound, and the golden apples that restored strength as swiftly as morning light. The sons of Turin pressed onward with quiet determination. Their quest, though stained with danger, now felt almost within reach. Without wasting a heartbeat, they summoned the enchanted boat of Manannan. As always, it understood their purpose and carried them smoothly across dark waters to the distant land of Persia, to the court of King Pizar, where the brothers once again adopted the elegant disguises of wandering poets. The Persians welcomed them warmly, offering courtesy and honor in equal measure. And in time, Breen was summoned to recite his verses. With a calm voice and a steady gaze, he wove a poem of praise so graceful that the entire court murmured their approval. When he was asked to accept a reward, Breen's choice was bold, perhaps too bold. He requested the magic spear of Persia. The king's expression hardened at once. His goodwill, so effortlessly displayed moments earlier, curdled into fury. "You dare to ask for my beloved spear!" he thundered. "It is no gift, and the only reward you may hope for now is the mercy of escaping with your life after such insolence." Breen, stung by the king's wrath, acted before thought could catch him. He snatched one of the 3 golden apples and hurled it with deadly precision. It struck King Pizar's brow, and the ruler collapsed where he stood. In the rising uproar, the brothers tore through the court like a storm, cutting down anyone who barred their escape. They reached the stables, seized the coveted spear, still resting in its cauldron of enchanted water, and sprinted for Manannan's boat. Even before they touched the shore, the vessel turned obediently toward their next destination, Sicily and the kingdom of Dobar. "Let us win his trust," Brian suggested quietly, as the waves carried them forward. "We will offer our service as soldiers of Ireland." And so they did. King Dobar received them with open arms and placed them at once within his mighty army. For a month and 2 weeks they served him faithfully, earning admiration as fierce and loyal defenders of the realm. Yet in all that time, the legendary steeds and shining chariot spoken of by Lugh remained hidden from sight. At last, Brian announced, "We have waited long enough. We must confront the king and tell him that we will leave his service unless he reveals his steeds and chariot." Reluctantly, Dobar agreed. The steeds were summoned, the chariot yoked, and both were paraded proudly before the sons of Turin. But Brian's mind was already set. As the chariot circled past him a second time, he leapt onto the nearest saddle and seized the reins. His brothers battled back the guards and joined him in moments, and together they thundered through the palace gates, escaping into the wild road of their 5th quest. Their voyage continued undisturbed until they reached the land of King Assal, Lord of the Golden Pillars. But their arrival was far from peaceful. A vast army waited at the harbor, for the fame of the sons of Turin had spread across the world. Tales of the treasures they carried, and of the kings who had fallen before them. King Assal confronted them directly, demanding to know why they had plundered so many realms and spilled so much blood. Brian answered with calm honesty, recounting the harsh judgment imposed by Lugh of the Long Arm and the many trials they had endured. "And what do you seek here?" Assal asked at last. "The 7 pigs," Brian replied. "Lugh has demanded them as part of our sentence. It would be better for all if they are given freely." The king withdrew to consult with his advisors and wisely chose peace. The 7 pigs were surrendered without bloodshed, and in gratitude, the brothers pledged eternal loyalty to Assal in any future conflict. When asked where their next journey would lead them, Brian explained that they sought a hound in the land of Eruad. On hearing this, King Assal made a quiet plea. "Take me with you," he said. "My daughter is queen of that land, and my heart yearns for her. Try to persuade my son-in-law to grant your request without resorting to violence." The brothers agreed. Together they sailed toward Eruad. Upon arrival, Assal went ahead to plead with the king and explain the brothers' mission. But the king of Eruad, proud and stubborn, refused to surrender the hound. Weapon in hand, he ordered his men to prepare for battle and set out to challenge Brian himself. Their duel was fierce, 2 warriors bound by pride and destiny, striking with equal fury. Yet in the end, Brian overcame the king, dragging him before Assal without dealing the final blow. "I have spared his life," Brian declared. "Perhaps now he will show wisdom and surrender the hound." And the king did. Humbled and impressed by Brian's restraint, he handed over the hound peacefully. All bitterness dissolved, and the 2 sides parted with unexpected friendship. Once more, the sons of Turin boarded their vessel and sailed away from the land of the Golden Pillars. Across the ocean, in distant Ireland, Lugh of the Long Arm waited, listening closely to every whispered report of their triumphs, every treasure seized, every danger endured. their journey was far from over. He knew, with a cold certainty that crept into his thoughts like evening mist, that the great quest he had set before them was nearing its end. And as that moment drew close, his anxiety only deepened. For more than the glory of the journey, more even than the honor of the vow, he desired above all to reclaim the precious treasures the brothers had already gathered. Rumors had begun to stir again, dark, unsettling whispers that Balor of the Evil Eye had awakened once more, and that the first shadows of a Fomorian invasion were sliding silently across the horizon, to draw the sons of Tuiren back to Ireland before their obligation was fully met. Lugh wove a subtle, druidic spell and sent it drifting after the brothers across sea and sky. Under its gentle, deceptive touch, the three men felt their memories loosen like pages curling in a flame. They forgot that their sentence was not yet complete. They saw troubling visions of what awaited them on the shores of the Boyne. But those visions, instead of filling them with dread, filled them with relief, as though the storm had finally passed. And their hearts lifted with joy at the thought of being reunited with their father. So it was that, within only a handful of days, their feet touched Irish soil once more. Exhausted but hopeful, they hurried toward Tara, where the annual assembly gathered beneath the gaze of the Hill King. There, the royal family received them warmly. Even the Tuatha De Danann rose in welcome, praising their endurance and courage and the astonishing wonders they had returned with. It was decided that the tokens of their quest should be laid before the High King himself, who would examine them and notify Lugh of the triumph. A messenger was sent, racing like an arrow through forest and meadow, until at last he reached Lugh's household. And not an hour later, Lugh arrived at the palace of Tara, the storm in his eyes barely concealed. He still counted these men as enemies, though they bowed before him with weary respect. "We have paid the fine for our father's life," said Brian quietly, pointing to the treasures arranged for inspection. Lugh of the Long Arm studied them, his voice cool and measured. A remarkable hoard, enough to settle any blood price in Ireland. "But you swore before the court that you would bring me all I commanded. And I see one item missing." His gaze sharpened. "Where is the enchanted cooking spit? And what of the 3 shouts you were bound to give upon the hill of Midcan?" In that instant, the brothers understood they had been misled. Their hopes shattered like thin glass, and they fell to the floor, strength leaving them. For a moment, the hall grew dim, as though despair itself had eclipsed the torches. But there was no turning back. Leaving behind the treasures that had shielded them, they made their way once more to the waiting ship of Manannan, and the vessel bore them swiftly across storm-tossed seas. 3 long months passed. The waves seemed endless. They searched every horizon for the faintest hint of the island known as Inis Fiontre, but each dawn arrived empty-handed. At last, when even their stubborn hope had begun to falter, Brian proposed one final attempt beneath the water. Donning his magical water garment, he slipped silently into the sea. For 2 full weeks, he swam through the cold dark, chasing currents that whispered of secrets. Only then did he find it, a lonely island hidden deep within a hollow of the ocean floor. Inside its coral-lit court, he discovered a circle of women, all bent over cloths of gold, embroidering in utter concentration. They seemed not to see him, and Brian, seizing his chance, crept toward the corner where the cooking spit lay resting. But the moment he lifted it from the hearth, the hall rang with sudden laughter, bright, cruel, and echoing like bells underwater. Only when their mirth subsided did the eldest speak. "Take the spit, brave wanderer," she said with teasing disdain. But know this, even had your brothers joined you, the weakest among us could have kept you from claiming it." Though her words stung, Brian bowed, grateful that the final stage of their quest now waited. They wasted no time. Steering Mananan's enchanted craft toward their last destination, they reached the hill of Midcan soon after. Its summit was still and grey beneath the drifting clouds, but as soon as their feet touched the slope, a guardian stepped forward, Midgan himself, stern and unyielding. "What business brings you to my hill?" he demanded. "We have come to give 3 shouts," Brian answered gently. "To complete the quest laid upon us in the name of Luke of the Long Arm." "I knew his father," Midgan replied, "and I am bound by oath to forbid any cry upon this hill." "Then we must earn the right," Brian murmured. And before the guardian could draw breath, the eldest of the sons of Tuiren struck, ending the man's life with one grave blow. No sooner had he fallen than Midgan's 3 sons emerged, weapons drawn, and the battle that followed was among the most brutal ever fought on Irish soil. They clashed with the ferocity of starving wolves, the desperation of men who had nothing left to lose. Steel tore through flesh, cries rang through the air, and soon the grass beneath them darkened to crimson. When at last the conflict ended, the sons of Tuiren stood victorious, but only barely. Their wounds were deep, and their strength had deserted them. One by one they fell to the ground, waiting quietly for death, longing for the healing pigskin they had long since surrendered. After a long silence, Brian whispered that their quest was not yet done. They had still not given the 3 shouts. So, with great effort, they pushed themselves upright and lifted their voices into the still air, fulfilling the final promise of their long and bitter journey. At last, peace washed over them. The quest was complete. Brian carried his wounded brothers back to the boat, promising them one last glimpse of the land they loved. They drifted only a short while. The enchanted vessel did not stop at the Boyne, but glided swiftly over land as though guided by unseen hands. At last, it came to Dun Tuiren, where their father waited, heartbroken, helpless, as his sons were delivered into his care. Their long wandering had ended, and with it, the quiet sorrow of a quest that had demanded everything they had to give. Green, sensing the shadow of death creeping ever closer, beckoned Turin to his side. His voice, once bold and clear, had grown thin with suffering, yet it trembled with urgency. "Father, beloved father," he whispered, "take this cooking spit to Luke. Tell him that every task he set before us is now done, paid for in blood and bone. Beg him, please beg him, to grant us the healing pigskin he guards, for our wounds will not last much longer without it. We have endured so much, all to satisfy the blood fine for Cian's death." Turin, fearing that even a moment's hesitation might cost him his son's last breaths, leapt upon his horse and rode toward Tara with desperate speed. Dust rose behind him in long, pale trails as he prayed to reach the great stronghold before fate claimed his children. Lug of the Long Arm came out to meet him at once, his expression unreadable in the shifting light. Turin knelt, presenting the spit with trembling hands. "My sons," he said, voice breaking. "They are slipping away. I beg you, give me the healing pigskin, that I might lay it upon their wounds and see them rise again." But Luke did not answer. He stood silent for a long, chilling moment, his gaze fixed far beyond Turin, as though he were listening to a truth only he could hear. When he finally spoke, his words cut like iron. "I would sooner give you the whole earth in gold," said Lu, "or any treasure that might preserve your sons' lives. But this I will not give. Let them die bravely. and let them thank me for the glory their deaths will bring them." The cruelty in his voice extinguished the last flicker of hope in Turin's heart. Head bowed, he took back the spit and rode toward his children, knowing before he reached them that he carried only sorrow. When he arrived, the brothers listened to their father's words, and devastation washed over them like a black tide. Grief crushed their spirits more swiftly than any blade. And before the sun dipped below the hills, the last of Turin's sons breathed his final breath. Unable to bear the weight of such loss, Turin fell across their bodies, his heart breaking so completely that life abandoned him as well. The Tuatha De Danann looked on with sorrow as the souls of all four rose heavenward together. From that day forward, the tragedy of the sons of Turin became one of the three great sorrows of storytelling, passed down in whispers throughout the land. In the ages that followed, a great war erupted on the plain of Mag Tuaird. The Tuatha De Danann fell in staggering numbers, finally overcome by the Milesians, the Gaelic newcomers who would claim Ireland's surface for their own. With defeat heavy upon them, the divine folk descended below the earth into a realm of darkness where no mortal king could reach them. But darkness did not endure. Jeweled halls rose from black stone, light bloomed where shadows once ruled, and in that shimmering underworld, time lost its dominion. No one aged, no one fell ill. Beauty lived eternal. At last, the day arrived to choose a new king. Many spoke for Lir, father of the sea god Manannán mac Lir, proud, wise, and yearning for the throne. Yet another rose to challenge him, Bodb the Red, son of the Dagda, lord of perfect knowledge. When the votes were cast, it was Bodb whom the people chose. A radiant fortress was raised for him beside the waters of Loch Derg, and he vowed to rule with fairness and peace. The land prospered, joy returned, and the people praised their choice, all except Lir. Wounded in pride, he withdrew to his home, refusing to acknowledge the king or offer him even the smallest courtesy. Some urged Bodb to punish him, to send an army and force his submission, but the king refused. His heart, warm and generous, sought harmony, not vengeance. Then came sorrowful news. Lir's wife had died, leaving him shattered and inconsolable. Companions came and went, but none could lift the weight from his heart. Bodb the Red acted at once. He sent an invitation, gentle, respectful, asking Lir to visit the palace and dine as an honored guest. Touched by such kindness from the very man he had wronged, Lir accepted. 4 shining knights escorted his chariot through the gates, where a great banquet awaited him. The king greeted him as though no bitterness had ever passed between them, seating Lir at his own right hand. As the evening grew warm with laughter and shared memories, those who watched saw the gloom slowly lift from Lir's face. When the moment felt right, Bodb spoke softly. "I grieve deeply for what you have lost, my friend," he said. "But let me help you begin anew. Here in my court live 3 maidens, my foster daughters, each as fair as dawn. Choose whichever your heart desires, and let her restore to your life the joy that grief has stolen." At the king's signal, the maidens stepped forward. Their beauty was luminous, their presence like starlight falling into the hall, and thus the story turned toward hope again. Lir's gaze drifted slowly from face to face, as though searching for the meaning of a puzzle suddenly laid bare before him. At last, his eyes settled on the daughter called Eve, the eldest, the calmest, the one whose wisdom was trusted above all others. With a gentle nod, the king offered the couple his blessing. It was decided that they should wed without delay. So for 7 radiant days the palace glowed with feasts, music, and celebration. When the final torch was extinguished and the last toast raised, Ave and Leah departed the royal halls to begin their new life as husband and wife. Leah moved with a lighter step than he had in years, his sorrow no longer heavy upon him, and Ave, kind, thoughtful Ave, grew to cherish the man who had chosen her. The years that followed were filled with quiet happiness. Leah adored his new bride, and his joy blossomed further when she bore him twins, a boy and a girl, Aid and Fingula. 2 years later, she bore another set of twins, Viekra and Con. But the second birth was harder, and Ave fell gravely ill shortly after. Leah kept vigil day and night, tending her with the gentlest devotion. Yet despite all his prayers, she slipped from his grasp, and his heart broke for a second time. Only the 4 bright, beautiful children she left behind prevented him from sinking under the weight of grief. When sorrow threatened to crush him, it was their laughter, echoing through the halls, that kept him breathing. When King Bord heard of Leah's tragedy, he offered his second foster daughter, Aof, in marriage. She agreed without hesitation, eager to care for her sister's children and to bring order back to the household. At first, Aof loved the children deeply, as though they had been born from her own heart. But as weeks turned to months, she began to notice the depth of Leah's affection for them. Often he slept in the same chamber as the children, and when they woke, he whisked them away on long rides and cheerful hunts through the forest. He showered them with embraces and laughter, receiving their devotion in return. Slowly, a poisonous seed took root in Aoif's heart. He gives them everything, she thought, and nothing to me. That seed bloomed into jealousy. Feigning a terrible illness, Aoif took to her bed for a full year. She summoned a druid to her side, and in the dim flicker of candlelight the two whispered a plan, one dark enough to chill even the quiet of night. Then one morning, she rose from her sickbed, called for her chariot, and went into the palace gardens to find Leah. She told him sweetly that she wished to take the children to visit her father, King Bord. Leah, relieved to see her healthy again, encouraged the outing at once. He gathered his children close to kiss them farewell. But Fingula pulled back, her eyes shimmering with tears. "Do not be troubled, little one," Leah murmured, brushing a curl from her cheek. "Your visit will bring your grandfather joy. He will send you home on the fastest horses in the land." Though her father's words soothed her only slightly, Fingula climbed into the chariot beside her brothers. As the wheels clattered over the road, her unease deepened, like a small storm cloud settling over her heart. Once they were far from Leah's palace, Aoif brought the horses to a halt. Waking the sleeping children, she ordered them out. Then, with a cold voice that sliced the silence, she commanded her servants, "Kill these creatures. They have stolen my husband's love from me. Do it now, and I shall reward you." Horrified, the servants stepped back. "We cannot," they said firmly. "A curse will fall on you for even speaking such evil." Bitter with frustration, Aoif drove on until they reached the edge of a lonely loch. The evening sky burned crimson above the water, and the starlings had already settled in their nests. Owls stirred, beginning their nightly watch. There, beside the shimmering lake, Aoif drew a long, narrow blade from her cloak. She raised her arm to strike, but at the final instant, a flicker of compassion stirred within her, stopping the blow. Enraged by her own hesitation, she changed her plan. "Remove your garments," she ordered. "Bathe in the lake." The children obeyed, frightened and confused. As each one stepped into the water, Aoife struck them with her druidic wand. In an instant, 4 white swans drifted where the children had stood. A death-like chill swallowed the air as Oife chanted the curse taught to her by the druid. For years to come your home shall be the water. Not Lear, nor druid, nor earthly power shall save you from wandering on the lonely foam. The swan children bowed their heads, tears falling like tiny drops of silver against their new white feathers. Fingula, trembling, found her voice first. "We have always loved you, stepmother," she cried softly. "What harm have we done? Why treat us with such cruelty?" Her words, so small, so heart-breakingly gentle, pierced Eif's heart with a sudden stab of regret. Panic seized her, but the spell could not be undone. Desperate, she softened the curse. "You will remain swans," she said, "until a woman from the south marries a man from the north, and until the light of Christianity shines on Ireland for 300 years. 3 centuries you shall live on this loch, 3 more on the Sea of Moyle, and 3 more on Erisdomnan." Then, after a pause, she added, "But I grant you speech, and the gift of song. No music on earth will ever sound sweeter than the songs you will carry upon the wind." With that, Eif mounted her chariot and continued toward King Bord's palace, leaving the 4 white swans shivering in the cold mist of the moorland lake. When she arrived, King Bord hurried out eagerly, hoping to see his grandchildren. But our wife came alone. "Lear no longer trusts me with them," she said. "I dared not disobey." Deeply unsettled, the king sent a messenger at once to Lear's palace, seeking answers for this strange and sorrowful turn of events. A strange, shivering sense of foreboding had already crept into Lear's soul long before the message arrived. The moment he broke the seal on the king's summons, worry tightened around his heart like a cold hand. Something was wrong, terribly wrong, and instinct told him it was his children who were in danger. Without a moment's hesitation, he called for his horse to be saddled. The hooves struck sparks against the stone as he rode into the lonely night, racing toward the dark waters of the loch. Wisps of fog clung to the trees like silent witnesses, and even the wind seemed to whisper warnings he dared not acknowledge. At last, he reached the palace of Bodb the Red, its windows glowing faintly in the mist. A single servant of Aoif met him at the gate, shaking, pale, unable to hold back the truth that had poisoned the whole household. With a trembling voice, she revealed the terrible treachery that Lear's wife had wrought. The king himself was soon informed. Aoif was summoned before them both. When she entered, the torchlight flickered over her face, revealing a cold, wicked gleam in her eyes, an expression so dark that even the shadows recoiled from it. Rage flared in the king's heart. With a furious strike of his wand, he cursed her, transforming her into a wind-torn demon, doomed to wander the icy air until time itself unraveled. Before dawn had broken, an anguished search party set off from the palace, their torches glowing like stars swallowed by fog. The mist thickened as they rode, chilling their breath, until at last the murky waters of the loch emerged before them. Lear was the first to see movement, 4 elegant white swans gliding silently across the surface. Their slender necks curved towards the pebbled shore, as though yearning for someone familiar. And then he understood. As the swans drew near, they began to speak in gentle, trembling voices. The moment Lear heard them, the world seemed to tilt. These were his children, his beautiful children, now trapped in snow-white feathers and sorrow. His heart shattered. A grief so deep broke from him that it echoed across the water, a sound too old for words. He wept without restraint, as if tears were the only language left to him. "Not so, father," whispered Fiacra softly. brushing his wing against Leor's trembling hands. "Your love will keep us strong. One day, we shall be together again." And then, as though the very air wished to comfort them, a soft, enchanting music drifted around the lake. It wrapped the party in calm warmth, easing their anguish. One by one, Lear and his companions drifted into a gentle sleep, their burdens lifted for a fleeting moment. From that day onward, Lear returned to the lake every morning. And soon, all the people of Ireland came, journeying from far and wide, to hear the ethereal music of the 4 swans. For 300 quiet years, the children of Lear lived upon the lake, their melody a blessing to all who approached. But time moves, even when hearts wish it would stay still. When the 3 centuries had passed, a gloomy dawn crept over the loch. The stars faded, and the first pale light touched the water. Lear walked to the shore for the last time. His children waited, wings folded like cloaks of moonlit sorrow. Fionnuala raised her head and began to sing, a haunting prophecy of bitterness and storms that awaited them on the sea of Moyle. Then, with a slow and sorrowful beat of her wings, she rose into the air. Her brothers followed, lifting their voices in farewell as they flew toward the northeast and the raging ocean. Hardship met them the moment they arrived. The Sea of Moyle showed no mercy. The winter sky turned black and heavy, its clouds bursting with icy needles that cut like knives. Waves hissed and roared, tossing the swans apart again and again. Many nights Fionnuala perched alone upon the Rock of Seals, trembling with fear for her lost brothers, praying to the old gods until they returned to her, battered but alive. 300 years of anguish passed in this bleak exile. Only once did light touch their spirits. One morning, near the mouth of the River Bann, a host of horsemen rode toward the shore. 2 figures stepped forward, Fergus and Aed, sons of Bodb the Red, accompanied by a shimmering fairy host. They had searched for years, wishing to bring news. Lear was well. The Tuatha De Danann lived in peace, though sorrow clung to them whenever they spoke of the missing children. The meeting brought comfort, and the swans spoke long into the evening. When the visitors departed, hope, long dormant, stirred once more in the hearts of the enchanted siblings. But their trials were not at an end. Their next centuries were spent in the cold domain of Eris Domnan, where the winds were cruel and the sea pitiless. The swans grew thin with hunger, their feathers froze, storms battered them until they hid beneath black, unfriendly rocks. Yet every hardship only strengthened their longing to return home to their father's arms. When the final 300 years ended, joy burst from their weary hearts. They rose into the sky and flew southward with renewed devotion. But their return brought no comfort. As they circled above Armagh, they saw only ruins where their father's palace once stood. Stones and rubble lay scattered like bones. A wail of heartbreak rose from the 4 swans as they collapsed upon the earth. For 3 days and nights they mourned, grieving not only their lost home, but the centuries stolen from them. At last, too heavy with sorrow to linger, they flew westward and settled beside the still waters of Innisglúair, a lonely lake that would become their final refuge. There they lived out their days, pouring their grief into haunting songs that drifted across the water. The very next morning, a Christian missionary named Caumhog walked by the lake near the small church he had built. Hearing the sorrowful music, he paused, entranced. He prayed to know the source of such aching beauty. The swans revealed themselves and told him their tale. Moved beyond words, Caumhog drew them gently to shore, binding them with silver chains so they might remain together. In his humble dwelling, he cared for them tenderly, teaching them prayers, sharing his devotions, and offering them a peace they had not known for many centuries. But tranquility is easily disturbed. Word of the 4 miraculous swans traveled far, eventually reaching Deoch, daughter of the King of Munster. Preparing to wed the King of Connaught, she declared she wished the swans as a wedding gift, and her demand placed a new shadow over the last quiet sanctuary of the children of Lear. The king made his somber journey toward Inishclore with a single grim purpose in mind: to claim the swans for himself. When he reached the little church where they had taken refuge, he found them huddled near the altar, their long necks bowed as though in a quiet, wordless prayer. With barely a moment's hesitation, he stepped forward and seized them, dragging the shimmering birds away from the holy warmth of the sanctuary. But he had taken no more than 4 heavy, echoing steps when the air around him shifted, soft at first, like a sigh, then sharper, like a ripple of unseen magic. Before his very eyes, the swan's feathers loosened, fell, and dissolved into nothing. And where the graceful birds had been moments before, 4 human figures now stood. 3 frail, withered old men, their faces lined by centuries of sorrow, and beside them, a pale woman whose eyes carried both exhaustion and a strange, quiet relief. The king did not wait for explanations. One look at these ghostly figures, aged by nearly 1,000 years, and terror seized him. He dropped everything and fled from the church as though chased by his own conscience. Only then did the truth settle like a soft cloak around the little chapel. The children of Lear were free at last. Oif's cruel curse, which had bound them for hundreds upon hundreds of years, had finally unraveled at the appointed moment, foretold long ago. But freedom came late, and their time in this world was slipping away like the last notes of a fading song. They called softly for the saint, Chamok, asking him to baptize them while strength still lived in their trembling hands. And as the holy water touched their brows, a gentle peace settled over them. They passed from this life as though falling into a long-awaited sleep, quietly, tenderly, almost gratefully. Chamok, heart heavy yet full of reverence, gathered their bodies and laid them in a single large tomb. He placed Fionnuala, their devoted sister, at the center, her brothers resting around her as they had in their happiest days. Then the saint raised a headstone and carved a final blessing into the stone, a message meant to echo through ages yet to come. Here lie the children of Lear, who at long last sleep in peace.